Yo guys, what's up? It's Coach Mickey, and today I am doing a new series that's prepping all of our dance parents on how to gauge and predict your child will be fully prepared for their upcoming competition season. Let's get started. Okay, in this new series, I'm going to be giving you a couple episodes on just how you can prepare, tips, guidelines, and gauging on what you need to do to make sure your kid has the best effort forward in being able to be a superstar at dance competition this season. So today is tip number 1. Are you fully prepared? Does that mean, do you have every duck in a row for your kids' competition season in their knowledge? Today is all about knowledge. Okay, knowledge comes in various aspects. You have choreography knowledge. Do they know their choreography of their competition routines? Some kids have maybe one routine, maybe they have 2. Some of them can have multiple. Some can even have as high as 8 to 12. It just depends on what you committed to at the beginning of your season. So how knowledgeable are they? Then the technical aspects in the choreography. Do they know how to technically do those things and do them well? Not just do them, but to attempt it and do it well. That is all about knowledge. So how do I know that my child is fully prepared and has that knowledge? Well, come on guys, it's pretty simple. It's all about going to practice, okay? So I wrote down some numbers that gives you guys an idea of what's going on in our studio. So since our production camp, which was in August, we have so many days a week allotted for choreography time. So those are days that we work on choreography of the routines, okay? And for our Emerald Company in Alma, there are 17 Sundays we've had since the beginning of the season for them to be able to practice. You figure 17 practices, correct? Now, a couple of those practices were canceled due to bad weather. So now let's just say on average, it's down to 14. 14 practices is all they have. Now, in those practices, they have to learn the choreography, then they have to review the choreography. In that choreography is also included technical skills and formation changes, okay? Now, when all of those things are combined, if all I have is one routine that I have to focus on, 14 practices seems pretty reasonable that you could be able to pull that off. Now let's add another group routine, or another group routine, or a duet and trio, and a solo. Now you're limiting those 14 practices to be divided up by all of those other routines that you have to have that knowledge in. Now you also have practices during the week that are required now that are called our technique practices. Now, because we have been falling behind in our group numbers because of people not showing up to practice, injuries or illnesses, bad weather, we're having to make up for those 14 days that we had in the studio allotted for choreography time. We are now taking it and putting it into our technique time. So now their technique time is being used as additional recovery and makeup for those days that we had missed in choreography time. So now your kids are not putting the additional effort in their technique practice. They're making up for those choreography days that are missed. Now, some kids can come to practices and miss them or be ill or have an injury and still be able to make it up. For some of those kids, that is extra effort that they do at home. If your kid is not practicing at home in their spare time, more than likely they're one of the ones that are not perfecting and moving forward. They're the ones that are constantly playing catch up. That's tip number 1. So have them work on it at home. See how they look at home. Tip number 2, ask them, hey, are you doing okay at practices? Do you feel like you're behind? What is the things that your coaches are telling you that you need to work on? If you're not asking those questions, then you cannot be surprised and shocked when your kid can't pull it off at the show or at competition. You have to be the gauger. You have to be the one that is pushing and motivating your kids to be able to have their best foot forward for competition. When you go to the show, when you see them perform these routines, or you're at competition and you watch them at their first competition performing these routines, here are some tips to know whether or not your kid is fully prepared. It is very easy to get wrapped up into the whole like, oh, they're so much better than they were last year, or oh, they just look so pretty. I'm just so proud of them. I love watching them dance. Okay, I want you to get that off your brain. Your goal here as a competition dance parent is to make sure that your kids are fully doing their effort. Think of it like this. It's a rowing boat, right? You have a boat that's got a bunch of oars on it, and they're trying to pass that goal line. Now, if one of the oars is broken, it makes it go slower. Now, what if one of the oars is missing? Now you can't row as fast anymore because you've got members missing. So you've got to make sure that your kids' oars are totally working and that they're totally being able to like move in the same direction that everybody else is moving so that they can move forward as a group to accomplish that goal. Okay, so when you're watching the routines, here's some key factors to know if your kid is lost and why they would be lost, all right? Number one, where is their eye focus? Now, some of you guys are gonna say, well, that could be because of their personality or they just don't have the experience. No, 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 no. We go over that numerous times. Confidence is key. And if you don't have confidence, your eye focus is gonna be weak. That means you're gonna be looking at the floor. You're gonna be looking at other dancers who know the routine better than you to follow them as a guide. That's why we cover the mirrors right before a show or competition, because we don't want them following people anymore. We want them being confident in their own selves to be able to do these routines on their own. So if their eye focus is to the floor or to the right or to the left, instead of performing out to the audience, then you know your kid's knowledge is weak. Where is your dancer in their technical ability? There's leaps. There's turns, there's catch holds, there's arm placements, there's feet placements. Is your kid mastering and matching the highest level dancer in that group? Or are they the weakest one in that group? When you watch your kid do a leap, does their leap look a little off compared to someone else? It's not because the other person just happens to be more talented. It's because their effort in practice or their lack of being able to be at practice is causing them the factor of not being able to accomplish those technical abilities. So how can you help them if they're technically weak? All right, you gotta have them practice. They're weak on their leg holds. That means stretching at home every night. Their flexibility is weak. Why are they not doing splits every night at your house? That will increase their flexibility tremendously. Turns are weak. You've got plenty of space that you can turn in a kitchen, you can turn in a garage, you can turn even in your living room if you get a plastic square for them to turn on. They shouldn't have to turn any further than a plastic square. Of course, you know, make a safe space for them, but they shouldn't be just like only practicing those technical things at the studio. Here's another thing to gauge. When you're watching your kids perform, are they bumping into people? This is a big one, okay? If your kid is not at practices, they don't know where to go. And when they don't know where to go, they bump into people. Or they don't look like they're right in a formation, they're off, or they're too far forward or too far back. That means that they've missed too many practices, or they're not paying attention to their surroundings and they're not knowing where they're going. That's why it's important that you don't miss practices. Do not miss them. I'm not even gonna stress this more than one more time. Do not miss practices. It is a bad ripple effect for everything, and you've set your kid up to fail. How do you do your hair and makeup? Well, that's gonna be in our next video. Today is all about practices and putting that best effort and time into making sure you have the knowledge and the steps to make you the strong link, not the weakest link. Please, I don't want you guys to be the weakest link in the group that the judges will pick out specifically to bring the scores down of the group. All right, we'll see you at practice. Peace out. Bye, guys.